The presentation is called Developing a Plan for Your Project Truck and Finding Parts for It. But, I mean, you might as well just say it's about restorations. That's just the summary. I'm Erich Reiselt, and a little about myself. I'm from Ohio, like I said. I don't believe that's on here, but 44 years old, Christian. We've got, I've been married 21 years now. Krista, my wife, is in the store working. And I'm rounding up, thank you. 2 boys, one of them's right there, making sure I'm on track. The other, Caleb, Jacob's out in the booth, in our booth out there. And then, so I'm a life member, board member, at large. We sponsor the convention, and we do the Facebooking and social media ambassador stuff for ATHS. There are other social media ambassadors, though, like Miss Flatbed Red. There's a few other newer folks we've got that help with all of the social media. My background, though, diesel mechanic by trade, from mostly with John Deere, lots of other things as well. Trucking owner operator, we did that for quite a while. Pulling in dumps, so still kind of construction based, farm based, whatnot. Excavating, we did a little bit of that. But currently we're a truck upfitting company. So that's what Reiselt's Machine Works is and does, and that's what our booth back there is. Primarily flatbeds is our business, which really our display here doesn't showcase that at all, but it just shows you what we can do. Yep. And then love international trucks, that's kind of our thing. And anything old and mechanical too. It doesn't really have to be international, of course. Once we all get into something, it just, we appreciate all things pretty much. Here's our family at the pumpkin patch with one of our old junk display trucks that we have a few parts trucks we've acquired. And it looks good in fall pictures, and we let our friends use that all fall. And then our Ram truck up there on the right, that's our shop truck with one of our custom beds that we do. And it's out in the campground now with our slide-in camper in the back. That's where we're staying. One of our old Pro Stars with our 40-foot frameless, we used to haul salt and stone aggregates and everything. So that's kind of my background, quickly. Sayings, I've got favorite sayings. You got to learn something new every day. I know it's sometimes harder for people that are younger than you to maybe say something that would help you learn something, but learn something new every day and always become part of the solution. Otherwise, you're not helping. You're part of the problem. One of my favorite ones, though, is the best time is now. If you think of something, if you don't write it down or do it, you probably won't do it. I'm just getting started. My name's Eric. How are you? And then this one's kind of funny. It's like Yoda from Star Wars. Do or do not do. There's no try. It's very hard to even say that without saying, I'll try. Or I'll try not to. When you do that, it's like an excuse, I swear. It just, you don't commit to doing it. I will do that, or I won't do that. But restorations. So my very last bullet point there, I used to say I didn't really restore trucks. I just fixed them up or, made them how I wanted or spruced them up. But what's the definition of restoring a truck? It's different for all of us. And Denny Postma, he's one of the board members. He's written in Wheels of Time. He works up at Vanderhaeg's Museum in Iowa. But it's different things to everyone. What's it mean to you is different than me. And, do you want it to be a daily driver, a concourse show vehicle, or something in between? Do you want to spend a month doing it, a year, 5 years? I mean, it's just, restorations it's a very vague, broad term. So, I've got a picture. This is our 55 International. We don't have it anymore. We put it on a school bus frame, and we drove it all around, and we loved it. But it looks kind of like a rat rod, but that's how it looked when we found it. And that's at a local chapter show. This is a friend's old B model Mack with a Orville cab sleeper. with that camper, there's nothing shiny on that truck. It's rusty. He'll tell you. It's just, but it's been to more truck shows than all of us combined. I think he's like 150 truck shows he's been to with that thing. And then that picture is not mine, but that's Pebble Beach Concourse. You've probably seen it on TV. It's real swanky. You know, you can't get around that stuff. It's roped off. They trailer it. So that kind of represents all different categories, somewhere in between. The guy on the right of me with that white Dodge, he drives that thing everywhere. So I'm a very visual person, though. So I envision what something looks like, what I want it to look like when I even buy it, before I buy it, you know, when I see a picture. So these two trucks here, I bought this pretty rare West Coaster off of this really bad picture on Facebook with no description from Washington, and I'm in Ohio. Shouldn't have done that maybe, but you can tell it's not smashed. The guy's brother said it ran and drove and shelled corn the fall before, and it's covered in all the bird poop and corn fodder, and that's how they parked it when they got done hauling feed and corn. So I knew it was what I wanted, but this is what I wanted it to look like. I knew it was going to look like that in my mind before I ever even bought it. That's how it should look. So if you're not visual like that, sometimes it's be like a stumbling block for you to get going. The TranStar on the trailer there was terrible, ugly, faded old red paint and mismatched everything. It's a beautiful truck, all aluminum frame and everything. They just painted it all of it. Bumper, mirrors, everything was painted. But I mean, look at it. These were both like 1 to 2 month projects. Did I fix everything? No, but you could get in them and drive them down the road. And then little things that you didn't do, maybe like fix wiring to gauges, or maybe the heater fan switch didn't work right. You can deal with that along the way, right? But my kids are young enough, we can enjoy these things. I don't want it jacked up in the barn for 5 years. That's just not how I do it. I want to get it on the road and play with it. So you don't want to get in over your head. You know, we all do that sometimes. You have to know your limitations and your friends too, because they're going to help you more than likely. Family, friends is going to be part of it. So figure out what you all can handle, and then run it for a year or something to figure out if it's worth investing in the time and money. You might find out it's a lemon. You might find out it's really awesome. It's a cream puff and it's worth the time. So, and you can change your plans. A lot of people get bent out of shape or frustrated if they think they got to change their plans from what they originally set out. It might be fluid and kind of evolve or change directions. So the TranStar, you know, we stripped the paint off the frame, put some tires that were halfway safe on the thing, and ran it for a whole year. I barely did anything to that truck, but even already from the other picture, it's a little nicer. And we pulled loads to shows and stuff a whole year, and then figured out, okay, this one is worth diving into and really making it nice. Yeah, the boys helped me build that truck during COVID. They didn't have school. I was still working. I'm self-employed. It didn't matter to me, but we had a lot more extra time. So they helped with that truck. We did recently sell that TranStar though now, and I don't have a good picture, but it is in the Netherlands in a guy's museum, his international museum. It's probably the coolest transaction I've ever been part of in my life. It's not removing our history. Some people have criticized me for that, but it's better preserved, and he's on Facebook all the time with it. He's got a museum. It's amazing. He loves international, and it's just it couldn't be at a better home. Start with easy stuff. Running, moving, stopping. You know, naturally you'd like to see it do that when you buy it. It's not always the case. You know, you might do it. You might do it before you buy it, in their yard, in their field, or whatever. We've all been there. I mean, gas can. You can hang a gas can under the hood, steal a coil off the guy's lawnmower, a battery out of your truck that you drove to get there. I mean, you got to do that stuff. It might make the difference of whether you buy it or not, or whether you pay $1,000 or $10,000. It's good to know that it will do something. And then make a list. There's always the needs and wants list. You want everything, but you only need some stuff. And that'll help break a budget down. Yeah, I already kind of mentioned that. All that stuff above will help determine the price. And in Ohio, at least, the title is should be way at the top. Every state's different. I'm kind of jealous of some of the guys that don't have to worry about that. Tennessee, Georgia, Montana, they don't even care, it seems like, about a title. Ironically, New York even. Anything older than 73, they don't even have a title. They just use the back of the registration. I bought one from there and was shocked and went to the BMV ready to be disappointed. No, that's fine. You just sign your name on it and it's yours. If you found it in the glove box with the truck, you could have it all day long. So, but that can affect the price tremendously. And that's usually the first question I ask being from Ohio. And my old trailer that's out in there in the building with our truck on it, we almost didn't buy that. There was 5 or 6 trailers we turned down. Sit around a farm and haul equipment for 30 years and they don't know where the title is. But this one had a title. So, and call around. Ask people information about what you're looking at. If you just think it's cool and don't know what it is, find out what it is and who might know about it. So this is some stuff. Our boys, we got this old Lodestar for them from the neighbor, and then it'd been parked for, I don't know, 8 years maybe. In 30 minutes it was running. So file the points, put a fresh gas under the hood and a battery, but it misses. It has exhaust leaks. It has all that stuff, but it runs. These are some old ones we drug out. You can see the mud line on the tire. That thing had been parked since '95, and we got it in 2017. It did not drive up the trailer. He wouldn't sell it because he bought it new for his kid and their dirt biking back in the 70s.
Did you have to dig it out?
No, the winch was strong enough to pull it out of there. But none of the wheels turned. The mud is above the brakes, so the brakes were in the ground. The rocker panel was on the grass. In about 2 weeks, it looked like that on the trailer, and we took it to a show, running and driving.
It looks like sometimes when you just hose it off.
Right. He wouldn't sell that truck for years. His wife got cancer. He realized the fatality of the whole situation, or the potential fatality, and decided I was the right guy. He turned 100 guys down. I was the guy. I like international. I wanted to use the truck and make something of it and not turn it into a hot rod or cut it up and rat rod it, scrap it, whatever. That can be a hard thing, though. The brakes for that truck fit a Ford F-250 from 70s. You couldn't buy the shoes for it. You can't buy the drums for it, but you can turn a drum if you can find a guy to turn a drum. There's always those little things you just got to work at to get them on the road. But I'm the guy that doesn't like to be told no. So it's not a Peterbilt, Kenworth, a Ford, a Chevy. I'm an international guy. We have to know. We're a pretty tight group of guys. There's a few companies that specialize in stuff. Some of it you can't buy. But you can't open an LMC truck catalog or a Iowa 80 Chrome shop and get all the stuff I need to build my trucks. So it's harder. But there's always a potential discussion. Most people now, they can't find it on the computer. They don't have the old books on their rack anymore. They just tell you no. But tell me why you said no. There's some discussion around no. Do you just not know? Or is it really no? Because I don't, I'm going to push until I get it. And I'm nice. I beat them over the head with it, but there's got to be a way. So I collect old books. When our Napa moved, they were told by Napa to throw away the catalog rack. We don't need that anymore. It's all digital. That's the dumbest thing they ever did. There's stuff in those books you can't get back, and it didn't get transposed correctly in there. And I go and back to there. I've helped all kind of, like all you guys on Facebook, need something, I saw that in my book, and I'll send a picture to them. A wheel stud, a wedge for a Dayton. You get those numbers. Let's see here. Do you have to replace everything? I like original the older I get. So, yeah, it'd be nice to have all new cab lights that are shiny chrome, but the ones that came on the truck are cast IH and they have pitting and whatnot. But if they're presentable, the new ones are going to be repops that don't have that. So we could put a LED in there, we could put a new gasket under it and a wire, and it's not quite as shiny, but those parts save me money and are the ones it was built with. So there's something to be said for that. And international guys, we call it a line set ticket, LST. Kenworth, I forget. Anyway, get a build sheet if you can get it, because it'll tell you everything the truck came off the line with, and will eliminate. I know it's fun to talk to guys and discuss all the different things and why your truck's weird compared to theirs, but get the line set ticket. It'll end all the conversation right there. But then it might start a new one of, well, it's different than what the line set ticket says. So then was it already shortened? Was it a glider? Blah, blah, blah. Who did what to it over the years? But it helps. It's a great starting point. Making parts is sometimes necessary. Not exact maybe, but reminiscent or close duplicates. We don't need to get, unless you're building that concourse vehicle like in that one picture, no one will ever know that you fabricated it versus an original part number in most cases. Your local heavy-duty parts dealer is like your best friend. If you can find the guy that's been there for a while, usually 20 plus years. Are you a parts guy? Yeah. 50 years? 50. That's got the catalogs, that knows about linings, that can get you the part. Our one place in Columbus is an hour away, but they reline, they recore radiators, they do all that stuff. My trailer out there, everything is obsolete. We had to do it all the hard way by hand. And the linings, they're even screwed on, they're not riveted. So it can be done most times. There's so many, Tony and him were talking earlier about B models going to the junk. There's a lot of Lodestars in Ohio and the Midwest that come off of farms that end up in the scrapyard because you can't fix hydraulic brakes. But you can. They worked for 40 years. They still work. You just have to find a rebuilder that'll fix the Hydro Boost or the vacuum booster and put a new, it works.
Weight post.
Huh?
Weight post.
Yeah. That stuff, it does go bad sitting around, but it can be fixed. Unless it's Lucas Girling brakes on an 80s or 90s F700 Ford, F800 Ford, everything else can be fixed. Axle swaps, though, you can do some great stuff. Vanderhaeg's, they're a huge supporter of the ATHS. They're on all the material, Great family-run junkyard. I've fixed some old trucks. You go get a 2005 International 4300 box truck, those axles will bolt right into a Lodestar, F700 Ford. Do little tweaks, U-bolts, center pins, little stupid things like that. You get hydraulic disc brakes. You get the Hydro Boost off the firewall. You're done. I mean, a couple grand, $2,500. This bracket here, we found these semaphores. This is the 52 West Coaster that was out real long with the triangle paint scheme. I found brand new semaphore turn signals from a collector. They were missing the brackets. They never came with the brackets. That had instructions in the box, brand new from the 50s, that told you to order the bracket for your particular model or fabricate it in a shop. But it told you how far it had to be from the center of the cab to the hinge, which was 4 feet, because it's 8 feet it's over 8 feet when it pops out. So it gets beyond your trailer. So that bracket is just something we made out of flat iron. I mean, it's no big deal. For me, it's no big deal, but that's what I do. But it's still just bending some metal over a vise to make a bracket. Those are the books in my office on the shelf and some other trinkets. This whole row of oil filters, brand new Fleetrite international filters and wrappers came with that 70 international pickup that I said the guy wouldn't sell. He had that stuff collected for years. He bought a whole case or two when he bought that truck new. Then over here's Vanderhaeg's. We got to take a tour of their Kansas City facility during board meetings a couple years ago. And that's their mission statement there. But they're not your typical muddy hole junkyard. They are truck recycling. You know, they inventory everything, put it on blocks, gravel the lot. It's amazing. They give you a map. It's not a pick and pull, but they're all over the country, and they do a great job. Another huge supporter of the ATHS is oldinternationaltrucks.com, who is the Kirkham family, and they're here, George and Shelby. They're actually an international dealer today, selling trucks. Not to be fooled by their .com name, that's like a sideline restoration parts they sell along with new trucks. Because he has a collection, his collection grew, and then he wanted to fix them and whatever. That you can buy all rubber for any international cab really from them. Some glass, hardware, brakes, all that kind of stuff. Good there. There's always a guy like that for your brand. There's always a place like that for your brand. Fasteners, that card right there, that's from Napa. Just, you can see it's in a 3-ring binder. Those are screws, trim screws for interior. They've got one for pop rivets. They got one for the plastic fir tree pins you push in that holds things on. That little card, that book of cards is invaluable to match up your old hardware. And then a good tire guy, good hardware guy. That's my terminal supply guy. He comes whenever we call him to stock the bolt stuff, electrical stuff. And then the tire, those are brand new 920s for that Transtar when we put it back on 2-piece Alcoa wheels. That's a different guy. We have 3 tire guys. They all do a little something different. That guy will take the time to sit at a computer for an hour and find the old tires. The other guy's too busy for that. But if you need something more common, I go to the other guy. And then the third guy just sells new tires. So he's, you know, there's always, it's nice to have guys that specialize in stuff. Tires and brakes. That's usually like the biggest thing. So this spun off to my other seminar at 2 is on wheels and tires at the trailer in the building. That's hands-on. We've never really done those before. So there's a bunch of wheels and tires. I'm going to talk about the correlation of new versus old, you know, what's safe, what's not, what you should and shouldn't do maybe. But it's the biggest cost. So if you need tires, that truck right there is probably, well, I don't know, $2,500 truck, $5,000 truck, maybe if it runs. But it needs $5,000 of tires. So what do? You get used ones, whatever. But if it rolls, like I said, drive it, maybe run it around, go to car show, as long as they're safe enough before you start getting in over your head and dropping a bunch of money on tires. But don't sacrifice the look you want, because so often over the years we have done away with that. And if you're running a truck on the road, that was a normal upgrade. Oh, tubeless radial tires, great, let's put them on there. Well, as a restoration though, we don't necessarily need to do that. It is very easy, and people will say you can't do it any other way. Most tire guys, they don't know. Well, you just saw a truckload of 920s right there. You just have to push a little harder and find the people. But it makes so much difference in the originality, if you care, but in the look of it. Nothing looks like a bias tube type tire. There are some radials that are halfway close, but if you care about how it was, and a lot of times those bias tires can be cheaper too. So, but the wheels, guy brought me those 2 wheels to Kansas City in the trunk of that little Honda. 22-inch Alcoa wheels from the desert. They're like brand new. And it takes that kind of interaction amongst us all to get what you need or want sometimes. But those front wheels make the truck. Without them, you don't, I mean, it's like a proper West Coaster. It's got big rubber, nice old 5-hole wheels. I mean, those wheels are from '54. You just don't find them around our part of the world. Your part, they're rotted away. Typically, you might find them that came from out west, but they aren't going to be any good. That's what they look like now. I mean, those are 1122s. That's one of the hardest tires in the world to get. We bought the last 13 of them that the company had, and they said they won't make any more. We have got them to make 1022s now, which is what we're kind of selling. If you've seen our Facebook page, they are making them in batches of 50 to 100 at a time, and they go pretty quick. That right there, that's 2 sets. One set for the West Coaster and another set for a guy in Canada. If you've ever heard of Twin Stick Garage, great guy. He's not on Facebook or any other social media, but he does YouTube videos religiously. Has a huge following. He's one of our kind of ambassadors. We sent him some flags and signs to put in his shop. He rebuilt the most perfectly accurate Bandit reproduction Kenworth from the movie, including the trailer. And after studying all the pictures and the movie footage, and this guy's an engineer, I'm saying it's the most accurate hands down. You can't argue this guy's in-depth. He did the trailer too. But that truck was built with 1022 10-hole Alcoas. It's too new to have the old 5-holes. So he found me somehow, and we bought them, and he drove to Canada from northern Alberta and swapped me some 5-holes he had, some other stuff. We did horse trading, and then he paid me the balance and took home these new tires for that truck. So there's some wheels we had to have milled out. Those are old P30 Chevy van chassis wheels, 8-lug 19.5 tubeless wheels. They made thousands of them. Most of them have been scrapped years ago. But Frito-Lay trucks, Grumman vans, but the P30 Chevy chassis, they won't fit a Ford axle or International axle because Chevy had a smaller center bore. And Chevy used the coined lug nuts with the plate on the outside to strengthen it. A machine shop just open up the center bore and taper the lug seats, and you got a set of wheels you can put on a Ford or International or Dodge. Yeah, they're on a 57 International now. And then that tire that's propped up beside them, that's an old Goodyear extra grip tread on a brand new 19.5 radial casing. Super cool marriage that a company in Tennessee does. That's all they do, that one size on that one tread. So it's a 225 70 19.5. Which would be like on a brand new 5500, 4500 truck. But with the old Goodyear extra grip tread. It's pretty wide, and they're not even expensive. It's like $150 a tire. Leftover parts. There's always leftover parts. That's just a generic stock picture in the top, but that's my real picture. That's the top of my bolt bin. So you saw the nice pretty bolt bin in the other picture, but that's the bags of 50 and 100 that I had to buy to get 5 bolts that are a specialty bolt to finish a project, to put a grill on, handle on a hood, stainless Allen head screw to a hood pull or something. You can't just buy 2 of them half the time. But they make good decorations for your shop or your office or your house, depending on your wife. I mean, maybe they need to stay in your shop. But so most of my decorations stay in my office. Semaphores. I ended up with an extra semaphore turn signal that wasn't near as nice as the brand new one in a box. I wired it to an inverter and mounted it on the pole in my barn. So when you walk in and turn on the lights, you have a... Yeah, you got to tap it sometimes. It's good. But it's ground... See, that's another point. Things have changed so much. That was grounded through the pivot. Most old lights have wire, and they grounded through the screws that held it on. And then you always had to fart with them. Well, when you put an LED bulb in that, it's worse. LED bulbs are really finicky on the ground. They don't have enough amp draw to pull a ground out of it. Because it moves and it's mounted on the wall, it's really never moving. So about once a week you have to walk up to it and wiggle it, and it makes a new ground path and it works again.